YouTube, what's going on? It's your boy Coach Rob 619 back with another video. Obviously, this or that, and I haven't shot a this or that video in a while. I think a couple of years it's been since I've shot a this or that, and I know back in the day a lot of my viewers used to love these videos because they give you more options out there for alternative fragrances at different price points, or some fragrances that you may have never heard of, and it kind of puts it in a particular category so you can kind of get an idea if you would like it or not. And I kind of look at these videos as if like I'm a fragrance consultant, and you were like, you know what, I like tobacco vanille. What would you recommend? What other fragrances would you recommend? And these would be the fragrances that I would recommend, being in different price points. So depending on what price point you were looking for, these are some fragrances that I will point to you. Or if you couldn't afford tobacco vanilla, you really like that, but you wanted some cheaper alternatives, this would be, the fragrances that I, show you. So number one is this Phaedon here, and this is how the sample that I got. This is how it looks. If it'll zoom in, come on. I mean, I'm sure you guys can probably see that, but basically it's Phaedon Tabac Rouge, 10 mils, and this fragrance is pretty good. At first whiff, I enjoyed it. It smelled real good. It smelled just like what a lot of people, a lot of hype around this one was that it smells like Tom Ford's Tobacco Vanille, and it definitely does. I put both of them on side by side, and I can barely tell any differences. There was real little subtle differences, but for the money, this Phaedon Tobacco Roll, it smelled very similar. Now, to get into what it smells like, this Tobacco Rogue, it starts off extremely like cinnamony, like real kind of spicy, like a sweet spice. You get that tobacco vibe in the background, but it's kind of subtle to me. I get more of a cinnamon than I do a tobacco with a extreme like honey sweetness. So if you like sweet cinnamon, tobacco-y type fragrances, this one is right up your alley. And for a 100 ml bottle of this, I think it runs around 160, 165, and it lasts pretty long on me. It had good longevity. Not the best sillage. I don't think it left a good scent trail when I walked around, but it does have good projection. This projected on me extremely well. Now it was real sweet. So like I said, if you're not a person that's really into sweet fragrances, you might want to stay away from this and go with some of the other options. But this is definitely a good one. Great quality. Um, it was definitely good. Now, the fragrances always compared to, like I mentioned already, is Tom Ford's Tobacco Vanille. Now, this one for 100 mil will run you about, I think, $295 if I'm correct. So 165, 160 to 295. That's a big jump. Now, with the Tobacco Vanille, that one I think I like that a little better, like slightly, only because it doesn't come off as sweet. It comes off a little spicier. It has more of a vanilla vibe from it that I pick up, and a real, smooth cigar vibe. Now this Phaedon, this has the same elements, but it has an extreme honey sweetness on it that differs from tobacco vanille. But those are like the main differences, and they're very subtle. With the tobacco vanille, as once it dries down after about 30 minutes to an hour in, it's much more calmer. It's much more subtle. It lasts extremely long. It doesn't project as good as this tobacco roll on my skin, but it does last longer. So if you're looking for something that's more close to the skin, a little smoother with extreme longevity, I would go to tobacco vanille's route. But once again, you're gonna get a price tag of about, I think, 220 for a 50 mil, 295 for a 100 mil. So the cost, you gotta factor in the cost. Tobacco roll smells almost identical, just a little sweetness on top, or more sweetness on top for 160, 165 for 100 mils. So you gotta weigh that out. Then there's one of my favorites right here, tobacco Barry Mugler's Pierre Hervan. Now, a lot of us probably have this bottle, heard about this bottle or this fragrance, And a lot of us in the community really enjoy this one, and this one to me is great. Now the price tag on this is $88, so I mean that's half of Tabac Rogue and way less than Tobacco Vanille. So um, if price is a factor, this is the route I'm gonna go. And I think personally, this may be one of my favorites out of the bunch. Even though the other two fragrances are great, I think I like Pierre Havana a little bit better than both of them. My opinion being that it has great projection, it has great longevity, it's unique, it smells great. People always give me compliments on it when I wear it, and for some reason, when I wore this Tobacco Rogue and when I wear Tobacco Vanille, I only wore Tobacco Vanille a couple of times. I wore this Tobacco Rogue way more times than I ever wore Tobacco Vanille, but I really don't ever get compliments. Not saying that compliments is the only, what I mean, determination if it's good or not, but I look at that it's you're getting compliments, it's projecting more, is that aroma that's coming off you is a little bit more pleasant than other fragrances that you may wear. At least that's just my opinion. So when I wear Pierre Vin, I've noticed way more compliments. And Pierre Vin still has that tobacco. It still has that cinnamon type vibe. It also shares a vanilla vibe from tobacco to tobacco vanille, but the only difference and what separates it is it has a cherry note, a synthetic cherry note. It's a, like I said in my review of Pierre Vaughn, it's a London's cough drop. It's a cherry cough drop type medicinal synthetic vibe, which is cool. I actually like it. I'm not saying it in a negative way, but most people that will smell it, they will compare it to a synthetic cherry, which I actually enjoy. So the combination of cherry, vanilla, tobacco, and a little, sweetness, to me, that combination is lovely. So I think Pierre Havana is one of my favorites out of this bunch so far. And last but not least, you have Dolce Lycere. Now, this is like a cosmetic fragrance. And if you live in California for some reason, they don't ship to California. So you may have to purchase this off of eBay, or you may, if you have a family member that lives in another state, you can ship to their house and have them ship it to you. You may have to do something like that. Now, with this Dolce Lycere, this also, same thing. It shares that cinnamon vibe. It shares that sweetness. So this has the cinnamon kind of tobacco smell that you get from tobacco vanille, that you get from tobacco rogue, but not as strong, way more subtle than those two. But it still has that cinnamon vibe, that sweetness, that gourmandish, vibe that these all share. But with this one, with the Dolce Lycere, what this one has, it has like an almost an apple strudel, apple turnover vibe. It has like an apple where Pierre Vin has the cherry, Tobacco Rogue has the honey, and Tobacco Vanille has the vanille. It has an apple vibe. So they all kind of have something different that separates all four of them, but in the background they all share that cinnamon gourmandish kind of sweet vibe. So for $50, you know what I mean? This one is a steal in my opinion. So you got 50, um 50, 88 for the Pierre Vaughn. I forgot to mention that. Then you got the 295, and then you got the 165 for Phaedon. So Phaedon. So like I said, if money is a problem, your finances is or you just don't. You're one of those people like me that don't see the value in a fragrance costing $300 and you just won't pay it no matter what it is. Then you may want to stay away from tobacco vanille. Now with the performance of Dolce Lycere, this one to me, I think this changes the most throughout the life of the fragrance. When I first tried on Dolce Lycere, I got a spicy cinnamon vibe in the opening, and in the mid, it came into like that apple strudel vibe develops, and then it kind of dries down into like a cinnamon roll. So you get like it's almost like a creamy cinnamon with a little bit of spices that you would smell from a cinnamon roll. Still, you still play a part. So I think this one is maybe the most gourmandish of the bunch, but they all smell great. So there you have it. Phaedon Tabac Rouge, um, Tobacco Vanille, Pierre Havana, and Dolce Lycere. all great fragrances. Try to get a sample of each so you can kind of, put your own nose, make your own, assessment of what you think these fragrances are. But to me, you can't go wrong with any one of them. You must have at least one of them in your collection. I think this is a well-rounded fragrances. This scent, the way they smell, I think when people smell any of these on you, it's definitely gonna separate you from the bunch. So that's it, fellas. Depending on what the ladies say, determines what I spray. Peace.